All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to our online demo day focusing on consumer behavior technology solutions. First, I hope that everyone feels well and is in good health. These are very challenging times, and I think that we can all agree on one main characteristic in these times, which is uncertainty. I would even say complete uncertainty in every possible aspect. Beside the obvious medical ones, how long will this crisis take? How will things look like the day after? Will the new reality be a mix of what we knew before and what we know today with some types of restrictions, and for how long? What we also see at SOSA is that innovation managers that are working with us are now busier than ever, because it is clear that immediate solutions are needed to analyze, to understand, and to cope with the current situation. Now, businesses need to keep running. Some of them are even growing in these times. I wouldn't say the majority, but it's okay to say that some of them are even growing. And one thing common to all businesses is the need to understand their customers. What do they need? How can we help them? People are working from home, living under restrictions, consuming from home, but are still working and are still consuming services and goods, and they need a lot of assistance. So we have identified 4 Israeli tech companies which are addressing this exact topic. All 4, actually 3, I'll speak about it in a minute, but all companies will present their unique technology and will share how they are experiencing the current shifts in customer behavior and how they can support and provide you with a much needed data, information, and insights about your customers and what they really need. So we planned 4 companies, and this morning, Nura were actually called to the Israeli Prime Minister office to see how their technology can be used to cope with the current challenges and situations. So we wish them good luck. We will certainly include them. We'll certainly include them in the future sessions. And that's that. So every company will have 20 minutes to present its solution, and you can then submit your questions using the Q&A button. So the schedule for today will start with Anagogue. We'll hear about Anagogue. By the way, congrats to Anagogue on the last round that was just announced the day before yesterday, $10 million. I think that it's a very important indication that business is indeed still running and companies are doing well, and there are opportunities in this era. Then we will hear from Rujum with a personal customer journey platform that they're developing. And then we'll hear about AppsFlyer, which I hope or believe that at least some of you know the name, with incredible round of $293 million that was closed just earlier this year on January 20. So we will start now with Anagogue. I'm pleased to welcome Ofer, Anagogue CEO. Ofer, congrats again on the round that you closed, and good morning. How are you today?
Very good, very good. Thank you very much. It was a happy celebration when everybody are actually celebrating from home, as you can imagine.
Yeah. So new consumer behavior and new celebration behavior as well. So congrats again. We've been following you guys for a few years now, and we have a lot of appreciation for your technology and company and the journey that you're doing. So without further ado, the virtual stage is yours, and we are very excited to hear about your venture today.
Excellent. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen. We hear you well. Yeah.
Excellent. Great. So good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining. Let me try to walk you through what we are doing over here. Is it interesting in a variety of domains, but also for the insurance domain for sure. The basic concept that we are trying to solve is how to allow brands to better understand their customers but still with a very interesting angle when it comes to privacy, right? Usually it sounds like a contradiction, either personalization or privacy. I'm going to show you a very interesting technology that is bridging this gap. It all starts with our deep knowledge of signal processing. We built an SDK, which is a small software which we call JEDI, that can go into any existing application, both Android and iOS, to allow monitoring of the different sensors 24/7, so that the phone itself can understand both the activity and the location of the user, as well as understanding the profile of the user. I'll show you an interesting example in a second, and even predicting what can be better for an insurance company, even predicting what the user is likely to do next. Now, the claim to fame of Anagogue is that we are the only ones that can do all of this only on the phone with no need to connect to the network in any way whatsoever. So even if there is no connection to the network, you can still perform all of that on the phone itself, but still with very minimal power consumption. We're talking about less than 1% of battery for a full day of operation. This is why this is called the Edge AI, an interesting branch of artificial intelligence. Just a little bit about the company. So we have this deep technology backed by now over 25 patents. We have raised 35 million to date. What we have announced the day before yesterday is that Sumitomo and Continental joined our shareholders among the other automotive giants, including Mercedes, Porsche, Skoda, and we got this technology in the hands of over 25 million people from around the globe. And I will try to demonstrate some of it today. I think that we understand, and even Deloitte came with a market survey recently that shows that it is up to 71% of inaccuracy when you're trying to understand the profile or to personalize a service to somebody based on the online activities. Same goes for other types of key variables like type of home, do you have kids or no, car or no, less than 50% of accuracy. So that definitely calls for a solution. There is obviously a lot that you can understand from the online activities or the digital activities of users, but what Anagogue is doing is actually open up a much wider spectrum of understanding the user in their offline activities. And this is something that eventually can serve you just as well if you are able to understand the real physical world activities of people. Let's try to see what my phone managed to learn about me when I was traveling to meet with Walmart the other day. So you can see that my phone understands when I am at the airport, and later on I'm sitting at Starbucks, and then sitting again in the airplane, and then in the taxi arriving to my hotel. All of that is understood on the phone and by the phone. And with that, we have other solutions in the market from Google and others. They are all doing it in the cloud. Also, my phone can understand my daily routine. For every day and every hour, what is the chance that I'm at home or at work or in my car? Later on, we are going to use that as part of the prediction algorithm to say what that user is likely to do next. And finally, let's see what my phone managed to learn about my lifestyle in only just a few weeks. So it ranked me very high on social because I'm hanging out a lot in restaurants, at least I used to before the corona. And I'm a heavy commuter. My home is far away from work. The phone understands where is home, where is the office in just a few days. How do I like to spend my weekends? How much time do I spend at home during work days? I was recognized as a moderate shopper. I'm a frequent flyer. My physical activity is fine, but not more than that. This is what my phone learned about me. And none of this information had to leave my phone. Of course, if I want to share this information, I can do that. But if I don't, it can remain in my phone. But here is the interesting point that we bring to the table to our partners. If you're taking this SDK, this JEDI technology, and you're implementing that into your own applications, then the application can understand hundreds of microsegments about the user. We will see what is a microsegment in a second, but eventually understanding all of my microsegments is understanding my persona. And on the other side, my phone can understand all of my micro moments. I just now left home. I just now started driving. I just now stopped running. This is my context. So if my phone understands my persona and my context, just imagine that the phone can bring to me exactly the relevant services exactly at the right time and exactly the right place. So on this slide, you can see what do we mean when we are talking about microsegments and how granular it can go into almost any aspect of our life that the phone itself can learn based on the algorithms that we have developed. And just think that any one of these components can eventually serve you in your respective needs, in whatever kind of solutions or information that you would like to learn about the user, or that you would like to serve the user eventually. So let's see another very interesting issue, which is the understanding of the exact micro moment or the best moment of engagement. And in that case, because the phone can understand every part of the timeline, it can understand in real time that I'm now leaving home. If you want to approach me, that's a bad time. However, 10 minutes later, when I'm on the train, that's a perfect time. Actually, I'm looking for somebody to approach me. And this is how, by allowing the phone to understand the pure moment of engagement, you can do amazing stuff in comparison of engaging or with regard to engaging your customers with your respective offerings. If none of you have thought about privacy, this is the time to discuss it. And I think that this is one of the key benefits that Anagogue actually brings to the game. Let me try to explain. I want to just say before, I know that usually for insurance companies, privacy is less of an issue, because you can get your customers naked in front of you if they want to be insured. Still, this is something that bothers customers very much, and you would like to be proactive with a better attitude. So what is happening on the market today is shown on the left side. In order to offer that person with personal and contextual offering, his profile must be on the cloud, on your cloud. Otherwise, how can your cloud know what to push in his direction that is going to be personal? But this is where all the GDPR regulations are coming to the front and are making huge problems. What we have innovated is that for the first time, the phone can know the profile. And then the phone, knowing my profile, can look at the cloud and tell the cloud, okay, give me offering number 5 and number 22 because they fit my profile, but I don't want to tell you who I am, or I don't need to identify myself for each and every one of the transactions. In that case, for the first time, we have demonstrated that better personalization doesn't have to come on the account of your privacy, but rather they can coexist. For the first time, we've demonstrated that for ongoing daily services, you don't really need to get all of my most private information into your cloud. You can serve me without knowing all of these nitty-gritty details. One of the things that we are very excited about, which we are now launching, is what we call GEMA. GEMA is standing for this Jedi Marketing Assistant. Now, existing marketing automation solutions such as Salesforce, Adobe, Oracle, and so on, they're all cloud-based, right? And as such, they require ongoing communication with each one of the handsets. What we have managed to do is to show that you can move the marketing automation rules to sit in the phone, in the application. And then the phone becomes the center of decision because it only cares about me at that moment. So this is like my personal recommendation engine. Now, not only that this is much better for privacy, this is also the best solution in terms of real time. Because if you think about it, only my phone knows in real time that I've now started to drive, that I've now stopped running, that I've now entered into my walk. In order for the cloud to know that, you need to have this exchange of information. More information is more battery consumption. More communication is more battery. And therefore, by saving on this battery consumption, we can redirect all of that into better machine learning that runs on the device. We will see that in a minute. But let me give you an example of this GEMA platform. Let's assume that you would like to offer something to your customers, okay? It can be anything. I'll stick right now with this example. You would like to offer sport apparel. To whom? Only to women that are sporty, or more precisely, that like to run at least twice a week. When do you want this offering to come in front of that woman? Only when she enters back home. So now all of these marketing automation rules, which are practically the 4 Ws, are now downloaded to all the phones. And they're sitting in each one of the phones. Now the phone of that woman would say, well, you know what? This is a woman. She runs twice a week, and she just now stepped back home. So from within the phone, this push notification that was waiting for that specific trigger is going to come up. Now, because this is the perfect moment of engagement, she is more likely to engage with this offering. And then the phone can call for additional information from the server without necessarily giving her ID for each and every one of the transactions. So here's the end game. She got very personal, actually much more personal than it used to be today, very contextual, and nobody have to know who she is for each and every one of the transactions. Now, having said that, of course, that if your users are giving you permission, then you can collect also their ID because they gave you permission, and you can collect this information in your cloud, and you can use it for a variety of services. But even for those people that are very keen about their privacy, even the fact that you're coming forth with a solution that says, you know what, we are not necessarily have to pick your data or your personal data for every little things that you're doing with your life, customers will know to appreciate it, especially today, especially with the GDPR type of regulations. Why hyper-personalization is important, you can see also over here, as we are experiencing it, as McKinsey is actually showing on a broader perspective, the lift in revenues and the increase in conversion rate are speaking for themselves. Being able to run machine learning, artificial intelligence algorithms on a mobile phone is not obvious, mainly because of the power consumption. We managed to do that by rewriting some of the algorithms in a way that would allow them to run very efficiently, even on a mobile phone, and almost with no consumption of battery. The business model that we are using is quite straightforward. We are actually licensing these tools to the insurance companies, and then we cannot see any data of your customers. So assuming that your customers, or the vast majority of them, will give you permission to collect their data, we cannot see this data. So nothing is going through our servers. This is a major advantage when it comes to comparing that with other solutions in the market that are requiring to transfer your customers' data through them. We do not require that. We are out of the equation. This is only your data. In a nutshell, on one side, you get the SDK to embed in your respective application, and you get some additional optional tools to embed in your private cloud, like this Gemma marketing automation tool that I've described before. When it comes to insurance, this can be relevant for a variety of insurance domains. And actually, it is very helpful in all the value chain that you have, starting from the product development and marketing and sales, going on to policy issuance, policy serving, and claim management. So in all of these components, being able to know your customer in a better way, being able to predict what this customer is likely to do next is a key benefit. Same goes for a variety of health solutions for elderly and for others. So if you can understand the individual in real time, you can react in real time, and you can assist people in different needs. Given the short time that we have, I will just finish with few quick demonstrations. The first one being how much data can be collected if the user gives you permission. If you give the user some tangible value and he accordingly is sharing or allowing you to take data, this is just a snapshot of what Anagog managed to see out of our install base, which we are using for research and development. And over here, you can see how only one day of data in San Francisco looks like. So the phone can understand not only the location of people, but also the elevation. So you can see people on the different floors of the buildings. You can see them driving on the Bay Bridge. You can see them on Twin Peaks. In a nutshell, what is happening in every corner of where you're providing your services. This is very powerful for a variety of risk management algorithms that you can run further on your side. We even took that to a situation that you can understand the specific businesses of your customers. So just as an example over here, if we are comparing three, Target, Walmart, and Food for Less, you can understand how many people just visited once, how many 5 times and more in a given period, how long did people stay in that business, where did people come to that business. So you can understand how healthy that business is, and when there is some kind of a claim based on what happened to the business, like a fire and so on, you can roll back and see what was the performance of the business to understand if that was any kind of fraudulent request or anything like that. So you have a variety of tools to understand the different elements of businesses and the movement of people. With that, I think that I am running out of time. So I would assume that maybe there may be some questions.
Yeah, for sure. So Ofer, thank you very much. This is incredible. I enjoy listening to your pitch every time over and over again. So we have some questions from the crowd, and for those of you who joined after my opening, there's a Q&A button, so please feel free to submit your questions, and I'll just start with the first question. If we don't own apps, so what if the customers or the corporate or the organization doesn't own an app? Are you still able to extract data and to serve these organizations' customers?
Good question. An app is mandatory in order to be able to understand the sensors in the phone. So if you don't have an app, the only thing I can do is to encourage you to have one as soon as possible. I know that some of the insurance companies did not have one so far, but we
Yeah.
see that
This
more and
one
more
is not from insurance. Yeah, sorry for interrupt you, but this one specifically is from our partner, more from the consumer and retail and CPG world. So,
an application is absolutely required. Yes.
Okay. The follow-up question on that is, in order for the place to know the places that the user was visiting, does the phone location permissions need to be turned on? Do you rely on this setting?
Good question. We do not rely on that. The phone relies on that. And that's a small issue that is very important. Of course, you need to give permission to location, but what we can allow you to say to your customers, even if you give that permission, the location never leaves the phone anywhere. Okay, and that's part of the ability of being able to run only on the phone itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great, thanks. Now we have a question about the privacy, but not specifically from the regulatory angle. So even if you and your clients do comply with GDPR, CCPA, whatever new regulation will come in, the question said that's today maybe not enough, because what you also need is the user's trust. And if you have any insights on how the users actually feel having this feature run on their phones, and if there are any indication of that or any insights.
With regard to the feeling of that person.
Yeah, feeling of trust, and even if you comply with all formal regulations, are there maybe other barriers for implementation and engagement, which are barriers of, people just not want to share personal information and so on?
So over here, of course, what we see, and we believe that this is a major benefit that we bring to the table, you can allow your customers, subject to what you would like to offer, of course, but you can allow your customers what we call the transparency and control, okay? Because if for the first time you show me on my phone what my phone learned about me, because this is not just happening on some remote cloud that I have no idea what is happening. Actually, under my profile in the application, I can see what my phone learned about me. And if you're doing very nice gamification about that, you can even encourage people to improve. So you can motivate them in the direction that you would like to drive them. If I'm not walking enough per week or running, you can indicate that to me in a polite way from the application. So transparency is key for trust. Second is control. What happens if by mistake, you learn something which is wrong? Why wouldn't I be able to correct it? So we are offering these two elements as part of the solution.
Great, thank you for that. We don't have a lot of time, but there are many questions. So I'll just ask very quickly a couple of more. Do you have any use case to share with regards to life insurance companies?
So unfortunately, I cannot go into specific details given confidentiality, but we are now engaging with about 3 different insurance companies in different domains. Some even approached us very recently with regard to these corona issues and the environment, and trying to understand users, especially at this specific time. Needless to say, understanding the physical behavior of people at that time is very important. But I can, unfortunately, given NDAs, cannot go into more specifics on that.
Perfect. So so I'll just share with our great crowd today, which keeps growing. I see the numbers growing. That you are all welcome to contact us later. We'll put you in touch directly with Ofer, so you can take all the other specific or niche questions online. But I do have a question for you, Ofer, and my question is, how fast, maybe relating to the COVID-19 situation, how fast are you able to provide insights? Did you see already, or how fast were you able to analyze the shift in behavior in this current very, very different circumstances than before? And what would clients expect in terms of times for insights and times for changes when reality changes so fast?
Again, if you're sitting at somebody's phone, you see that immediately, okay? Per each one of the individuals, you know, when I'm going home, you know that I've not left my home for a week. These issues are happening instantly, okay? Not only that, when some of our customers are now approaching us, they say, you know what, there is a normal that used to be, and there is going to be a new normal after, after the corona is going to be over. We want to understand this new normal sooner than anybody else. And the only way of you understanding this new normal is this device. If you can understand based on the sensors what is happening with the user actually in real time. And what you can do with this solution that I've demonstrated is that you can plant into the phone action items that will happen when some trigger is being fulfilled. So you can anticipate some events, and you can allow my phone to know if you see that he is leaving home, give him that offering. Or if you see that he started going back work, do the same. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, perfect. So Ofer, again, thank you very much. And this obviously has huge advantages for anyone who wants to, who needs to understand their customer, which is everybody. Understanding risk profile for insurance companies goes without saying, and even just the lifestyle of people. I mean, how risky they are as individuals, incredible. Congrats again on the last round that you just closed, and
thank you.
Stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, Ofer.
Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so we are now moving on to Rujum, and we have with us Lior Katz, VP Marketing and Strategy. Rujum is a personal customer journey platform that enables brands to gain control on every customer's personal journey. And we are very excited to hear about this angle of how we can better understand our customers in these very special and challenging times. So Lior.
Yeah. Okay.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for having thanks for having us here. I understand we're talking to a bunch of service providers or innovation managers and executives from service providers worldwide, and that's exciting. Thanks for the opportunity again. Yeah.
So just a word about that. We have a very special mix of quite some big audience today. A mix of insurance company, reinsurers. That's, I would say, one group, and then the other one is a group of our partners that deal with more the retail and the consumer-oriented space. So that's like the mix. And now the stage is yours.
Okay.
And like before, I'm happy to receive a Q&A question, so we can take like 15 or 20 minutes presentation, and then I'll share with you questions from the crowd.
Very well, thank you. So indeed, this is a varied crowd. So I think the objective here is to discuss with you our concept and our technology, and we'll be very interested in following up specifically with any of you and tailoring the pitch specifically to your industry and the use cases for you as well. I'll try to use various demos. We try to use demos usually in our presentations, and I hope the message will be clear, and we'll be happy to follow on. So with me, I'm VP Marketing for Rujum. With me on the call is also Nir, our VP Business Development. Rujum is Israeli-based. We have offices also in Dallas, US, and Paris, where we have customers. We work with very large service providers such as AT&T, Comcast, Dish Networks, Bouygues Telecom, and others. We started working with financial institutions and insurance companies as well, and I'll share with you some of our progress and some of our examples. And notably, we're working with Sapiens, one of our partners, a leading insurance software provider for many insurance companies. And this is the reason why Nir is here, and we'll be happy to, in case this is a joint platform that you're using Sapiens, then this could be a good starting point for working with Rujum, although we can work direct, and we do with service providers as well. So we manage customer journeys for large service providers, meaning we enable large service providers to communicate effectively with their customers. This is, for example, from AT&T. This is essentially the challenge we're helping to solve. So AT&T on the right-hand side have business goals when approaching customers, new customers of TV services, for example. They care about connectivity ratio. They look at churn after 30, 60, 90 days. They want to see uptake of premium channels and premium options. And sometimes they have specific business goals, such as download this streaming app or things like that. So very complex business goals formula on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you see that when we started speaking to them, we saw that their marketing teams have between 17 to 21 different objectives, tactical objectives that could impact those business goals, starting to do with getting the technician on time, downloading applications. They have 3 applications, autopay, paperless, first bill information, premium channel options, all kinds of premium services. They want to hear the objective or the feedback of the customer in surveys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So their challenge was how to meet the business goals and communicate potentially so many objectives to their new customers of DirecTV. Until they started using Ridgum, they had these 4 emails that you see here, not very clearly, but they were sending 4 emails to the customers at specific time. The content of the email was predefined, some personalization but what is available, but that's it. They were sending segmented chronological communication to all their customers. Everybody gets the same. And this is obviously ineffective. Customers have very little attention to AT&T or to their insurance company or to their bank, and the business goals are complex, and there's so much to say. This is exactly where we come in. So Ridgum developed the next generation of customer engagement systems. Here on the left, you see the existing or the old generation based on campaigns. The idea is that the marketeers build a certain flow and logic of actions. It's usually a canvas. You drag and drop elements on the canvas, and you define, you send an email. If the customer opened the email, then you send a second email. If not, you send the first one again. You know, the campaign-based systems, how they work. But with the growing number of objectives per journey, like we saw with AT&T, 17, 21, we have other customers having more than 30 objectives per specific journey. So with the growing complexity, growing amounts of data, and the growing anticipation of personalization by customers as well as service providers, this is no longer enough. So Ridgum is taking a different approach. Our system does not have a canvas, and you don't plan your campaign. You just list what you want to achieve, what business goals you want to achieve, what objectives, tactical objectives could impact those goals, and that's it. You focus on what. And then AI engines work individually with customers and execute the how. They build customer journeys in real time and communicate and engage with customers on the most relevant and impactful objectives only. So in the back end, we have the model, and I'll share it with you in a second. This is where you define what you want to achieve. On the front end with customers, we have AI-based personal journey engines working individually with a customer, knowing his or her specific status. Did he download the app? Yes or no? Did he get the certain premium offer? Yes or no? And based on that data and AI projections, the AI engines tailor an experience and engage customers in various ways cross channels. One of the ways is to build for them in real time, a personalized mini site. And I'll show you a few examples. And of course, in the backend, we have the analytics to enable, again, the marketeers and the CX executives in the company to see how the engagement is effective and what's the impact on the business goals, and improve all the time, track the machine learning performance, etc. Let's look at some examples. So I'm starting with the backend. This is the backend screen of our customer journey model. Here you see this is An example, but it's in the spirit of what we do with AT&T, with Dish Networks and others. It's an onboarding journey for a new TV service, new customers for TV service. It's broken into phases until installation is taking place, and then a welcome phase when the customer is starting to use the equipment, and a value phase where more appreciation of the value and the brand and upsell, cross-sell opportunities could take place. The idea is that you can have as many objectives as you want. There's no limit. You don't need to think about the logic, what goes first, what goes second. AI will manage that for you. So you can have as many objectives as you want. And we also, since we enable building of personalized mini sites in real time, we will repurpose together with you or for you content that you have on your website, on your application, on your YouTube channels, on your social channels, in order to create screens that thereafter will be a part of the personal mini sites that algorithms will build for customers in real time. And again, once you, as the marketeer, designed and decided what you want to achieve and the objectives that could impact those business goals that you have, you're done. Execution is thereafter managed by AI engines in the cloud, working individually with customers. This is John. He joined DirecTV. This is a real example from AT&T, one of the largest telcos in the world. So the AI engine working with John knows the model, knows the objectives, knows the content and the available journey data, and reaching out to John using SMS or email or sending a link via application push if he has the application already. It could be part of the application, could be part of your website. It's completely web and flexible. So John gets the link and clicks on the link to get here. This is his personal engagement space where the algorithm will calculate for him what are the most relevant and impactful objectives for him to see right now. Most customers click when they get this. This is new. This is refreshing. It's not your standard emails that everybody is, tired from. And there could be some objectives that are mandatory. Those are limitations for the AI engine. So for regulatory reason, we see it many times in insurance or for other marketing preferences. Some objectives could be always presented first or one time. This is an example for one like that. AT&T wants to show a recap of the plan, the premiums, the channels, whatever, and get a confirmation of the user that this is indeed what he ordered. So I'll confirm, and thereafter, the AI engine will select for me as a user, for John specifically, what are the objectives that would make him more loyal, that would make him spend more with AT&T, that would make him satisfaction higher. So scheduling or reiterating the information about a technician visit coming to install your equipment. You can add to calendar, reschedule, know what to prepare for your visit. This could be also relevant in other industries. There's a coupon or a certain benefit you get after you connect. And you start to see the idea. The idea is that our system is enabling you to have small loyalty wins, small satisfaction wins that are aggregated into a significant lift in your KPIs. This is sharing content, etc. A similar model for the insurance company, insurance industry could be looking like this. This is Bupa UK. It's a wellness. It's an idea to advance digital utilization of services within the Bupa community. So the model is broken into be well, get well, stay well, services before and after you consume services, and the experience could look like this. Again, it's an SMS sent to Dan. Welcome to your Bupa digital experience, and then the AI engine working with Dan. Once Dan clicked on the link, will build a personal mini site for him. This will be including objectives from the model that will be relevant per journey data and impactful, the most impactful objectives per AI prediction. For example, they have an app that you can control your insurance policy with. There is another app where you can get remote appointments and consultation with experts. You can select your area of interests. If I choose lower back pain, I get information that Bupa and other insurance companies today go into wellness information, diet information, exercise. So all this information could be personalized for Dan right now, given his choice and preferences for lower back pain or given his data for such a history. This is from their YouTube channel, for example, brought in real time and in the most relevant and impactful manner for Dan to see. This experience is ongoing. So once the AI algorithm is working with Dan, for example, on digital utilization or digital adoption in this case, it will be a recurring session after a predefined time, let's say after 2 weeks. Again, the algorithm will reach out to John or to Dan in this case, and send him again a link to his updated experience, whereby the objectives will refresh based on John or Dan or any customer real progress. In fact, did he download the application already? Did he set a certain appointment or whatever else? The reach out could also be in context of the customer behavior after, for example, calling for support, after getting services, after using a feature for the first time, if our system can get the data on that. We work in different industries. This is a universal Orlando experience before you go to the park, during your visit to the park, after your visit to the park. And this is specifically, we're asked to show a coronavirus related support. So with coronavirus, I think this is from Xfinity Comcast. So showing you one example of an objective they wanted to add in their experience for new customers that discusses the capability to get information via your remote, your actual TV remote, or via an application for the coronavirus information. What we're seeing now is that service providers first have the first off message is one message they provide to all their customers. But soon enough, we will start to see, and we're starting to have these discussions with our service providers, starting to see differentiated messages that could go across. For example, payment terms related. You don't want to offer the same new payment terms to all your customers. You want to offer them maybe for some, again, for services, some free services, premiums in reduced price, community information, new services going on right now, specifically in insurance industry. So the more engagement you have with your customers, the more complex the engagement is, the more beneficial Rujum can be for you. And at times like this, the complexity is, and the intensity of the engagement with customers is going higher, much higher. The third layer is, as I showed, is a BI dashboard where you can get a customized dashboard to measure, for example, this is a control versus target, control getting the existing communication, target is getting the alternative Rujum journey orchestration experience, and you can change or check the impact all the time on your business goals, whether it's in this case, churn ratio, installation ratio, customers premium uptake, etc. And just a few more slides to explain. Let's see here. AI, just to touch on AI. So this is a real example. You see here in this chart, it's coming out of our systems, those charts that show, for example, the impact of promotion in a specific time frame or in a specific journey phase on customer base. This promotion was sent by our customers or our specific customer in this case to all their end customers. Like a campaign goes out to all the segment. And what we found in the way our system works is that the AI engines calculate if the promotion or any other objective would have a negative or a positive impact on retention, which is the business goals in this case. And you can see a negative impact is lower than 0.5 prediction, and a positive impact is higher than 0.5. And you can see that there are many customers, this is 400,000, okay? So many customers, it's not a good idea to discuss promotion with them at this time. And for some customers, it is a good idea. It's going to be positively, or it's projected statistically based on AI to have a positive impact on retention. Nevertheless, there are other objectives that could have even a greater impact on retention. So the idea is to prioritize the objectives the AI engine is presenting to a customer based on this AI calculation. I wanted to touch also data. In addition to being GDPR compliant, and we have we keep high or strict standards for information security, the concept is such that we don't use personal information whatsoever. Our system runs in the cloud. We don't have the email address or the telephone number, or even the full name of the customer. All we have is an ID that corresponds to a specific customer, let's say John. We have a first name for personal touch, and then a list of indicators. What plan is he on? 1, 2, or 3? When did he log in last to his application? If it's 0, maybe he doesn't have the application. If it's last year, it means something. If it's yesterday, it means something else. So with one piece of data, you can do a lot, and you can personalize the experience in a big way. And that's exactly our concept. In terms of use cases, there could be use cases such as onboarding, service change, home move, relevant for some industries, including insurance, where property is insured. Renewal, of course, increase of digital adoption, upsell, cross-sell, service utilization, winning back customers at risk of leaving or already left. This is an example for an insurance, for a quick modeling of insurance for, let's say, in this case, a home insurance. So the KPIs are call handle times reduced, number of quotes started, quotes conversion. The journey objectives could be many. And again, the more objectives there are, the higher the complexity, the more value Rujim can bring to you. So you can see here a lot of objectives, starting with buyer remorse and, talking to a new customer, reiterating the brand values. There is application to download, various tips on damage prevention, encouraging digital adoption of services, cross-sell, upsell opportunities, education on claim processes. There's so much to say, and the idea is to find the right messages to communicate to customers that they really affect your KPI, and those differ by customers, for new, for old, for young, depending on where they already been, what they did. And in the right side, in the white background, you see the kind of data we need. Again, in terms of flags, last login date to the portal. You can do a lot with a date. I want to say one more message is that this system is quick to deploy. 3 months and it's up. We're using the time to work with you, with your team, to define the journey, define the business objectives, repurpose content you already have in your existing digital channels, and then we take it and we deploy quickly in our system based on templates, and all the development is pre-made. The machine learning is ready out of the box, and we'll start learning as soon as we deploy the project. So deploying in 3 months, seeing results after a few weeks thereafter is certainly doable.
Lior, may I ask to share the AIG case study, if
yeah,
possible?
Sure.
I believe it's in your deck somewhere.
Yeah.
We have quite some presence from insurance companies in the crowd, so
yeah, absolutely,
interesting.
Absolutely. So this is AIG. It's the again, it's an onboarding journey for term life insurance. It's a life insurance they have in the US that is limited in time. One of the objectives they have in the first 30 days is to convert the new customer, new insurance policyholder into a permanent insurance company, the insurance policy. They also care about e-services, and they have many. They have cross-sell options, and there are many. And they want to essentially make the customers more satisfied. So again, this is a link sent to Daniel, a new customer of AIG for term life insurance. And now we'll start to see what kind of objectives potentially in the first session out of the journey that could last two months in this case. What would the AI engine select for Daniel to see? So it starts with recap of his insurance plan. This is the coverage he has. These are the terms. And then it's converting to a permanent policy, like I mentioned. It's a key element. And again, we're just the driver of the journey. The actual call to action will take place on the AIG website when the customer clicks the link. We bring traffic to your existing digital channels, application, website, social, whatever else. Going on to e-services, promotion, and then selecting services from the AIG portfolio. If I click on event of illness, I can see information specifically about that. Again, repurposing content that could be relevant for the business objectives here from YouTube. That's the idea.
Great, Lior. We have a question from the crowd. Actually, two questions from one of our partners. First, about A/B testing, how exactly it works, perhaps in a more sophisticated or automated way. And the second question: is it possible to integrate data which is collected through other customer activities in other platforms? So, yeah, not sure if you listened to Anagog, the previous company presented, but how can you integrate data from other sources as well?
Okay. So we integrate data in a very simple way. We take, first of all, the more we do deployments, we have more and more APIs and available integrations. For example, I mentioned Sapiens and other systems, marketing systems, but also we took a very simple approach that apparently is a clever move. We can also take data via files. So a combination of API and files, files could be retrieved from even legacy systems, even systems that are siloed on your end. We can take information for system A, take information for system B, and maybe for the first time we see a complete picture whereby in your organization is difficult. So using secure files and APIs is the way, and some integrations are ready out of the box. We don't need a lot of data. For 20, 25 objectives, you would see that the number of indicators we need to get from your systems could be between 60 and 70, not too much. So it's the single integration we require, and it's usually relatively easy to obtain. The other question was A/B testing. So there is some A/B testing capabilities. For example, if you want to test a certain content, but essentially AI is the ultimate A, B, C, D, E, F, G testing. It is managing all the permutations of the journey options. It could manage many types of different content, and the idea that it will select for you. So don't think about the how, let the AI do the how for you. You just focus on what you want to achieve, what business objectives, what content and calls to actions and information could impact those objectives now in coronavirus time. Think of everything you can say to customers and have AI select based on relevancy, given data, and based on AI prediction, what is the most impactful message to send to your customers and optimize your business goals.
Incredible. Okay, Lior, thank you very much. And again, we're happy to facilitate introductions afterwards for deeper one-on-one exploration. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Sharing your incredible solution. So
Thank
next
you.
up, Yuval from AppsFlyer. AppsFlyer, an incredible and very, very successful Israeli company. Last round, I believe, good timing. January 20 this year, $293 million. And AppsFlyer facilitates mobile attribution and marketing analytics, and we'll hear all about it from Yuval. Yuval, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. You have just unmute and we're with you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now you're on. Nice background, by the way.
Thanks a lot. I hope everyone is enjoying the cat and the coffee. Thanks for having me today. I want to take this opportunity to really spend the next few minutes, first of all, laying out the general challenge that AppsFlyer is assisting its clients in tackling and overcoming. And the second part, we'll want to spend some time on what it actually looks like. And the third, we'll talk a little bit about the kind of the global situation that we're all in together and that we all share. And perhaps I'll be able to introduce some insight there. So allow me to share my screen just for a sec. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we see it still loading. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can see the presentation.
Okay, so my name is Yuval Yar. I'm a team lead at AppsFlyer, focusing on the EMEA and LATAM regions. I've been with the company now for around 2 years now. And I want to kind of jump right into the type of topics that we'll be discussing over the next few minutes. So we'll primarily be talking about mobile attribution marketing analytics. AppsFlyer is the global leader in that, and the kind of the absolute market leader there as well. And it's, as you can tell, it's big business, right? We're talking about a 231 billion industry that is on the rise fairly aggressively over the last 10 years or so. We expect that to continue to be the case. And if anything, the current situation that we're all in might give it an additional push, even though it probably didn't need it. But aside from being kind of a very a large business potential, it's also incredibly fragmented. And that's really one of the major challenges that our clients are facing within this experience. They have apps, they're looking to reach potential customers, existing customers, to engage with them more effectively, to measure that engagement more effectively, and to make sure that they're making the right types of decisions with regards to their marketing. And they can't do that if the market is too fragmented and they don't have a solution to fix that for them. So we know that there's a measurement problem, and we know this because we don't just ask our colleagues, we ask different people within the industry, and they all basically say the same thing, which is there's a lot of praying and spraying going around. Large sums of money are invested into various mobile marketing efforts. Are they getting a return on that investment? It's a massive question mark still for many companies before they end up speaking with us. And one of their major challenges is that even the data that they do have, they simply don't trust, or they don't trust it enough. And in addition to that, we're all quite clear on the fact that it's not just about measuring our the effectiveness of our marketing. It's also about delivering a user experience. And if the onboarding journey for a new user is long and grueling, most likely they will never be a user of ours. And of course, we want them to be a mobile user and to engage with us via mobile, because we all know something that's kind of become obvious over the past few years, which is mobile engages with our customers significantly better, is significantly stickier than any other platform. And so any customer that we get through that experience, through that device, ends up being a more engaged customer. So this is generally the kind of the mess that the market represents. Without using a mobile attribution marketing analytics a platform such as AppsFlyer, in the sense that each one of these companies on the left, and of course tens of thousands of others, they're basically they have to fend for themselves, which means that they're integrated with different solutions. Some of them are tech partners, some of them are media sources, and they're trying to do the best they can with making the right types of mobile marketing decisions, right? How effective can they make their mobile marketing decisions based on? And I will say this is actually the type of the type of diagram that is actually, if it was just this, then this was this could have been good news. And unfortunately, isn't even as complex as this. It's a lot more complex in the sense that there are other parameters, devices that we haven't discussed, platforms that we haven't discussed that still need to be taken into account, and of course, kind of the practices of marketing for each specific business. So who is AppsFlyer? So AppsFlyer is no longer, I guess, a small company. When I joined the company 2 years ago, I think we were about 350 employees. We're now over 1,000, kind of spread across the world in 18 different offices. I'll show a slide in a second that doesn't even represent the full kind of office scope because we're moving fast. But I will say that we're in, we've been, as Uzi said earlier, we've been both, I guess, lucky and good planners in the sense that we've recently completed a round D with General Atlantic, and stability-wise, I think the company is stepping into actually a world that is a lot more stable as opposed to kind of the general field these days. So let's talk about AppsFlyer as the attribution authority. So there's really a challenge within this mobile marketing market, and that major challenge is that at the end of the day, those media sources, those media partners that our clients are partnering up with, they are, they're very effective in all kinds of different ways, but there are certain things that they do, less effectively, we could say. The first is that they don't, they don't match their standards to those of their clients, right? So if we're working with Google, with Facebook, with the Apple search ads, or with others, we're getting their standards of how to attribute every single user to the marketing campaign that delivered that user to us. But we're not really clear on whether those standards match with our measurement and the way that we want to measure our overall ROI of our own marketing efforts. And that's a massive problem. So there's a kind of a biased issue there. The second is that all of our partners there, they don't really speak to one another too much. And normally that wouldn't have been such a major challenge, right? I mean, we don't expect every company to be integrated with another company and every one of our vendors to be integrated with another vendor. I think that's fair. What we would expect is for the measurement to end up being accurate, right? So when we have different media sources and different partners measuring certain parameters and KPIs, we do at the end of the day have to receive a clear answer as to what's the overall performance of different marketing efforts of ours, different campaigns, etc. And that's not something that we're getting. And the third point is there's a difficulty in nuance. So if we're looking here, so AppsFlyer is integrated with just under 6,000 partners. To be honest, today it's well over 6,000 already. But I will say that one of the challenges that we're kind of delivering for our clients to win over is their ability to really get data aggregated in a relevant way and actually end up for the very first time seeing what their actual performance, marketing mobile performance is like. So yeah, I mentioned the global footprint. We're in many different kind of regions and offices, and I assume we have a mixed room here. So I'm sure for each one of you, that relevant office would come in handy. And some of our great clients. So it's important for me to kind of lay it out here. The world's largest companies, most successful companies, are working with us across a variety of different verticals. This, I must say, also provides an additional value to our customers in the sense that there are certain things that we can say about the industry, certain trends that we can talk about that really no one else can. AppsFlyer today has a market share of around 70% globally. What that means is that for clients of ours that start off kind of targeting their own markets, right, local markets within within EMEA, local markets within North America, and then end up expanding, they get to kind of to experience something a bit more nuanced. So let's actually dive deep into what it is that we do. So back to this slide of kind of the messiness of the mobile marketing industry. And we don't have cookies to rely on. Kind of the user journeys are very kind of flaky. And having AppsFlyer basically means that you have one source of truth. And that one source of truth is able to speak, to integrate with all of your tech partners, with all of your media partners, in order to end up delivering accurate numbers for the very first time. So what's the type of impact that we're talking about? So really kind of walking our clients through the full mobile marketing journey, right? It starts with an impression or a click, it goes to an install, to a first-time launch activity, et cetera, up until the moment of kind of a re-engagement or an uninstall with an existing user. And this is very important to say, because when the industry was kind of in its early days, all people really cared about was volumes, right? How many users am I able to get based on a specific marketing effort? And of course, we know today that this is, very partial at best, right? We don't really, for the most part, we don't really care about general volumes, right? Volumes mean very little when we're not able to note this, to answer the second question, which is a lot more important, which is, what is the quality of those users that we're reaching, right? And especially in times like the days that we're speaking in now, it's a lot more important to be especially effective with regards to your marketing efforts, right? If you want them to be ROI positive, you need to reach the right users and not simply kind of continue to pray and spray. So how do we deliver clarity? I'd say we deliver it in 4 kind of major topics. Mobile attribution. Mobile attribution is our client's ability to attribute every single user and user journey to the marketing effort that delivered that user. Marketing analytics, we'll talk about in just a second in detail, but generally speaking, we're looking at the full funnel and not just the moment of attribution. Data integrity, it's incredibly important that our clients are able to trust the data that is coming from us. And if they can't, they're simply left with the same problem as they had before. This is the business that AppsFlyer is in, right? AppsFlyer is not in the business of managing our clients' marketing efforts. AppsFlyer is in the business of providing insight based on very specific data that we can stand behind. And of course, partner integrations that are incredibly important. So attributing every action across any source. And to that extent, as you can imagine, there are plenty of sources, some of them online and some of them offline. It's essential, especially kind of considering the room that we're all, the virtual room that we're all sitting in right now. Some of our media efforts are not going to be online, and the user journey is going to be more complex to kind of attribute. And that only makes that makes the challenge greater, and that makes kind of the value of getting some accurate insight even more important. So what are we talking about when we say attribution? So we're able to basically note every user and connect them to the marketing effort that they were derived from, and that comes in kind of different fashions. Come kind of in the standard way, it can come through deep linking, it can come in all kinds of attribution, different attribution models. But generally speaking, we'll look to see which marketing effort based on a last click attribution model, who has which of our marketing efforts, campaigns, creatives, media source has kind of the strongest bond to a particular user that just onboarded. And of course, their multi-touch attribution is incredibly important, because we know for a fact that our users are noting our marketing efforts coming from different sources. And if we're not able to attribute the full user journey up until the moment of install, then we basically only see a very partial understanding of our marketing effort. And of course, there's a lot more there. So with regards to our marketing analytics, it depends on our client's ability to segment properly and to use our cohort reports and retention reports. I'm not going to dive into every specific report. It's a big product, and I'll be happy to discuss it on a one-on-one basis or answer questions at the end if there will be any. Uninstalls gets kind of overshadowed and is not discussed nearly enough as it should. Uninstalls is a massively important data point for us and our clients, in the sense that it allows them to kind of, to an extent, predict the future, and also allows them to get into kind of the psyche of their users and the user experience that they're experiencing. So data here is incredibly important, and being unbiased is probably kind of the central source. Money as a company, we think very clearly who our partners are on that front to make sure that we're not engaging in unbiased behavior with different partners of ours. There's a lot more to talk about when we're talking about fraud and ad fraud prevention. Fraud is a massive, unfortunately, a massive industry in itself. And one of the major challenges that our clients are facing is to make sure that the type of data that they're seeing that reflects the performance of their marketing efforts is the right type of data and an accurate one. So essentially, a central source of truth with an ability to to segment in all kinds of different ways and functions. I will say, when we're talking about kind of the business aspects of things, audience segmentation ends up taking a massive role, right? For finance verticals, all kinds of kind of fintech related, banking, insurance, etc. The ability to note the types of users that they have, and to then target similar users to that, or even re-engage with past users, is simply mission critical. All kinds of different ways by which we're able to to note user journeys across devices. And of course, retargeting, I've already mentioned before. Retargeting, especially in the world that we live in now and for the past 1 or 2 months, retargeting is basically a game changer when it comes to raising overall user return on investment. So this, any conversation about measurement can't be completed without discussing privacy and security. As you can imagine, a company such as ourselves, which provides insight to its clients, it has to live up to certain standards that allow us to work with banking clients, fintech clients, insurance clients, healthcare providers, and many other organizations that care very dearly about their their privacy efforts and concerns. And this is something that I think naturally we would care about as well as kind of being very directed to that. So now just a couple of points with regards to COVID-19 and the days that we've had and the days ahead. So certain verticals that are on the rise, certain verticals that are feeling the heat. I don't think you're going to find too many surprises there, but I will say that unlike kind of our general assumptions that we can all make with regards to where the industry is taking us, where this situation is going, I think it's always better to rely on some very heavy data. To that extent, I'll share in a second when I say heavy data, what I actually mean. I do mean incredibly heavy. I will say with regards to the verticals that are feeling the heat at the moment, some of them, as you can imagine, we can expect to continue to feel the heat. With others, they really do depend on kind of a few other, a few other things to happen in the world. Some of them relate to government enforcement. Some of them relate to the functions that their mobile apps provide. As you can imagine, in days like these, the richer the mobile app, the more services that it's able to provide in one product, the more effective it'll end up being. And I should say that I can certainly expect kind of a centralization to start happening within at least some of our customers, where they have different apps for different services, and they're going to start unifying them into a single product so that they're able to measure more effectively. But what are a couple of points that really cannot be overlooked right now? They were true before. They are, they've become mission critical in the present. Accurate marketing mobile measurement is incredibly important these days. This has become simply the most effective way, and at times the only way to engage with our customers, and without noting a return on investment, without noting a cost per install, without noting a return on experience for our users, without noting the user retention, their uninstall rates, and many other KPIs, we're simply not able to tell whether our efforts are worth it, and whether we should divest from one effort and invest in another. Cross-device and audiences. Cross-device is incredibly important these days, right? We're noting our clients sitting at home and using different devices, and the user journey tends to be complex, and we must be able to make sure that we're getting the right type of picture into what sort of what is the onboarding journey like, what is the user experience like, where do they start, where do they continue? Is it a user that starts on PC, then goes to mobile web, then goes to the mobile app, then stays there for a while and continues? This is becoming something that before I think companies could have been a bit slower to react to, and these days has become essential. And I should say, just to get to a point that I had mentioned before, retargeting is now, if it wasn't important beforehand, it is now essential. We're all in the types of businesses that depend on very effective users and not just volumes of users. And if we're not able to re-engage with our users, or perhaps more importantly, bring back historic users that are no longer engaging with us, we will find ourselves in a bind. So just keeping up with the trends, and this is just kind of a recommendation from me. You'll be able to find these. I can both share them after this call, and you guys could also find them yourselves as well. AppsFlyer's performance index that in essence ranks the media partners that you guys are using, and kind of puts the numbers down with regards to how effective each one is. And AppsFlyer coronavirus reports that are issued twice a week and will continue to be issued twice a week, with a very nuanced breakdown in countries, verticals, and trends. So I highly recommend these two sources as you're continuing to update with what all of our markets and how they're responding to the current situation. Thanks for your time.
Yuval, thank you very much. Incredible, and really incredible seeing the company doing so well, and really having such an incredible global market share in this specific and very, very unique position in this intersection in this world. So we have a few questions from the crowd. First, about uninstalls. How do you deal with uninstalls? Do you retarget them or learn about them, and how do you bring churned users back?
Great. So first of all, the method. So the method is based up on a silent ping. We essentially kind of look to see on certain time frames, whether we're getting a reaction, whether we're getting an engagement from a user, and past a certain amount of attempts, we're able to note that the user is essentially no longer does no longer have the app on their device. The use cases are endless, right? So just to break down the term of retargeting that I kind of very casually mentioned, retargeting should be split really into 2 types of processes. One is re-engagement, and the other is re-attribution. Re-engagement is we have a user, that user has the app on their phone. They are not engaging with us effectively, either because the user experience failed in some capacity, or the relevancy kind of expired, and we want to kind of to reignite this relationship, and we're looking to re-engage with that user. And so that was re-engagement and re-attribution. Re-attribution is our need to bring back a user that has uninstalled our app. I'll just say that with regards to our, I kind of also very casually, with purposes of time, had mentioned the audience tool, our audience building tool. I expect it to experience an additional kind of rise over the next few weeks, few months, because the ability to then define for yourselves a rule set that basically says, all right, please target or please provide me the insight for users that have installed the app over the past, let's say, year, have engaged with the app, have even delivered on kind of rich in-app events like purchase events or sign-up events, or filled out a form, and then uninstalled the app in the last week, in the last day, in the last month. Our ability to then provide them with a very specific, very catered marketing messaging that applies to them and to their situation is massively effective when we're looking to bring back these users, and again, to reattribute them, right? To make sure that once we deliver on that marketing effort, that we can, that we can sit back and actually note that campaign was more effective than another attempt of ours.
Yeah. Okay, we had another more couple of questions, but we need to close the session. So we will be facilitating introductions afterwards. I wanted to say we'll take it offline, but we're only online now. So we'll take it online. Yuval, thank you again for joining us. Again, incredible progress and achievements. And thank you for all the insights.
Thanks, Susie.
Okay, so we are closing today's demo day. I would like to thank Ofer, Lior, and Yuval for presenting to our partners and colleagues their solutions. Once again, I want to thank everyone who joined us today. As a follow-up, we are available to send you a recap email that summarizes this demo day in a short. We'll also be happy to share a short survey that will help us better understand your interest in each of the companies. And if relevant, facilitate the introductions. As I said before, we really see we are in a very special times, and I think that now after a month or so, when the new situation has stabilized in different countries, we see innovation managers more and more active around acute and immediate needs, and we help them find and quickly implement the right solutions that can really help them cope and deal with this situation in different aspects, including customer behavior and acquisition and new services and others. So with this, I'm closing today's session. Have a nice day, everyone. And most importantly, keep healthy and safe, and see you in our next session. Bye-bye.